to be done.
Shout out to everybody that's watching tonight. This is Karev at Heritage Hip Hop saying thank you for your your viewership. Thank you for your support. Thank you for always letting the world know that hip hop is not only our culture, but since we're God's people, it's God's culture as well. We introduce you to your future favorite artist today, and today we have somebody very special on, an artist that embodies lyrical technique above rapping for the sake of a beat. Someone who, since he premiered in hip hop, always took his story seriously and always wanted the world to know that hip hop is more than just a story of somebody trying to make a come up. It also has truth and value to it. So before we get into that, I like for you to hit the like button. When you come in here, hit the like button. We don't play. We just being on here and nobody watches. Hit the like button so we can get on the algorithm. If you're on Facebook, join us on YouTube. Drop some comments. We want to talk to this magnificent artist. Today we have somebody who not only embodies the South, but hip hop as a whole. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to our guest. And this man's name is Nick Grant. What's going on, family?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate that introduction too.
And it's nothing but the truth, because what I tell everybody on my show is if you didn't make quality music, you wouldn't have a quality interview. And it is my job to ask you questions off of what you created. So if you like this interview, thank you for letting me having it, but you inspired it. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
So let's go into your history, because I was introduced to you years ago and I've been following you sparingly. You know, I've been on and off of hip hop. But for those of you who don't know you, tell them where you're from and what you represent.
Man, I'm from South Carolina. I grew up in Atlanta, but like born, raised in both Atlanta and South Carolina. But man, I just represent family. I represent culture. I represent hip hop. You know, I represent love. I represent peace. I represent, unity, helping people up, helping people get to the certain place. That thing of like, just helping somebody up the ladder. I thoroughly believe in that. So yeah, I just represent, I got bad things that I represent as well, because I'm not perfect, but for the most part, I just try to be a good person. Yeah.
You represent hip hop the way a traditional MC represents hip hop when it comes to my opinion. Because I've seen you do Rap City, like you in the booth. I've seen you talk to people outside about who you are, but most importantly, you represent telling the reality picture besides just telling the facade story. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Why was that important to you, and why did you take that role when it came to producing your artistry?
I think it started with how I was raised and how I grew up, just being authentic and just being myself, and that being instilled in me early on. So it started from that. It's like, if I can't be myself in anything that I do, then why am I doing it? That's what life is about. And I think that's the most unique thing, I think if more people would be themselves, they would get a little further, because, you're the only one like you ever. So, I think you got to live in that. So that's important. That's always been important to me, even outside of music, just being myself.
Self is the most underrated and underappreciated term of wealth that we have in our culture, though, because knowledge itself is being able to be a sole controller,
right?
And then self-perseverance is being able to survive inside and outside of pressure. Only the chosen, the few that's chosen, go through pressure, and even some of those don't even accept the pressure to be their self-serving selves.
Right.
How do you overcome pressure to preserve yourself and give the world your truth in music?
I mean, it was hard at first. There would be times where I would be in the booth and say certain things, and I would cringe, like, "Yo, I don't want to be that vulnerable. I don't want to feel that naked." You know what I'm saying? While creating this, and embarrass myself in a sense. But once you get over that selfishness and letting these stories be told, you kind of preserving yourself in a way while saving other people and letting other people know they're not alone, or just reassuring yourself that you made it through these things. So I think that's another part of the knowledge of knowing who you are. So yeah, I always was the person at first, but I think what came with becoming a man was, hey, fuck what people gotta say. Excuse my language, but like forget what niggas talking about. Like, this is what it is, and living that, own that. Once you own that, the easier everything will be. Nobody can use nothing against you. You know what I'm saying? You could be the best person. You face it head on. I'm this album is something that I'm like living in real time. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, these stories are very important to me. The loss, the gains, all of this stuff, the ups and downs, and music, outside of music, family, friends, everything is like stuff that I was living, or like, you know, still living at this current moment. So I'm in that place. So that all that teaches me how to preserve myself. It's a fine line in doing it, but I think it's important to take those steps.
The most important thing about this album and following your career the way I have is that this album, I think this is going to be borderline, if not classic music within the next 2 or 3 years.
Oh wow.
Because you cannot see, the thing about music is people listen to music to bounce to and have fun, right? But then you also have those introspective pieces that make people grow up through music, like Marvin Gaye's The Ecology, Public
Right.
Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions, College Dropout, Kanye West. And I feel this project could take upon that type of responsibility. And let me tell
Oh
you
wow.
why. Let me tell you why. In Return of the Cool, Gotta Be More is what stood out to me. Because
Okay.
you always were lyrical and you didn't lose your message throughout the bounce.
Right.
Then when I heard Dreaming Out Loud, people got excited with the DJ Khaled things, right?
Yeah.
But your progression showed in songs like Black Woman.
Mm.
So when we have a person who could tell their story and then give you your life through their story, that's what KRS-One calls an MC. I think the Sunday dinner is going to be just that. It's going to serve people's hip hop and musical palates for years to come, because life is the best meal you can ingest, because you grow with the meal and then you give back the desserts through the fruits of your labor and your understanding. You feel me?
Right.
So how do you feel about that? What do you think about that type of analogy when it comes to your music?
I think that's spot on. I think, I don't think I kind of played with it back and forth. Like when you name those records, Gotta Be More. When you name Black Woman, I kind of played with it a little bit and telling my story, but it was more so like the easier side of things. It's easy to say who raised me because, I'm giving all of the favor and props to them. That's easy to talk about all of the good things and all of the fun times, but I think to be self-reflective and, flaws and all, you know what I'm saying? I think that's what this album is about. Like, just even touching on like my mom being on drugs, my mom opening up the album. That's like it's a common story for people where I'm from and people from the same cloth as me. But to be put on record head on, like in this day and age, is like a different thing. And I think like you know I pat myself on the back for that, because those were things that were like very hard to deal with. But you know what, like you said, it can last because it's people that's going through this stuff today. I don't know if it's the same way or the same form or the same things going on exactly, but it's a different style of things that's going on that people are going through. So
Nah,
yeah.
that's real. Shout out to my man's Jarnell. He said Black Sinatra is still fire. He re-raising the flag for Nick Grant over here at Heritage Hip Hop. Make sure you hit the comments, hit the like button when you come in here and share this, because we want to support and salute these great artists.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you a question. I want to build with you before we go into the topic of the album. We're on Let's Build, and the Let's Build part of the Heritage Hip Hop platform is, I believe MCs are some of the most thoughtful people that the world sleeps on.
Mhm.
You are one of the children of the Harlem Renaissance, because
Yeah.
that's when our deepness fully came, when we fought against racism intellectually and through our soul, not just
Mhm.
through music. And then Black Woman, right? You talk about the godliness of a black woman and how people will sleep on a black woman, right?
Hmm.
Today's message in the media is about high value men and women not being worthy, or high value women and men not being worthy. And it seems like we're losing love and we're losing the appreciation of each other due to status or media. How do you feel about that? And where do you think hip hop lies within that conversation?
I think we got to change the narrative, like within our people musically, and like stop focusing on the more frivolous things. Like, and people got to stop. I'm not pointing the finger. I'm a victim to all of these things too. But I just think it's we have to stop being in so much competition with each other. You know what I'm saying? Just everybody, just period. And it was a thing going around at one point. It was like, city boys up 1,000, city girls. It's like, yo, we got to stop being in such competition with each other, man. Love on each other, no matter who has what. You know what I'm saying? And always treat people to, a certain type of way, because you don't know who somebody can become tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, that's important. That's important how you treat people. And the person that sometimes has the least is the most loving, because that's all they got. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you got to treat everybody the same, treat everybody with love, not everybody, but some people in my world, some people don't deserve love, because it's a lot of foul people out here. But for the most part, man, initially treat everybody with love and respect. Come with that approach, with that, lead with that, and I think the results will be different. you know but overall, we just got to stop being in so much competition with each other.
Yeah. You know what? We've been taught a lot of lies within our youth going into adulthood. And when in school, we were always taught men and women are the opposite sex. When to oppose means you fight and you struggle. But how can you oppose when you come together, you create God in life?
Absolutely.
So, in not understanding love languages, opposites and complements, and understanding and not understanding the life complex and the life equation.
You out of here? Yeah. I'm gonna slide out here too. Since you going, my bad. One
That's
second.
all good.
I'm parked over here. No, no, no. I brought everything with me. I'm gonna slide out here with you. Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. And not understanding that, how can we heal each other if we're going through this thing and constantly bringing children into the struggle of the lack of understanding and the power of men and women?
Repeat that for me. I'm sorry.
With the lack of understanding of men and women and coming together and not being opposing, how can we heal that misrepresentation while we bring children into the world, in your opinion?
I think you got to do your research. You got to do your research on your people. You know, uh, I remember having a conversation with somebody, and it was like, yo, the younger you are, the bigger your history. You know what I'm saying? If you do research on that and go into that with an open mind, you know, and really want to learn it, like really take it in, you could change some shit. You could change some shit for your people. It starts with you. It starts with yourself. Like once you look in the mirror and kind of fix that, you good. You would be in a good position.
I think I quote. I may misquote you, so pardon me for that. But you said you having on your child, you want your son to be strong like you, but have his mother's heart. Or if you have a daughter, you want to raise her a certain way so that she's strong. What is a father's responsibility to children in today's world, as opposed to what you think it
I'm
was
back.
in the past?
Say it again one more time. I'm sorry.
With you on your album, I believe you said something about having a child and you want your son to be strong like you, but have his mother's heart.
For sure.
And you want to raise, or if it's a girl, you want to raise your daughter to be strong in a certain way.
Yeah.
With what's going on in today's world with the men and women conflict, what is a father's responsibility to their children today as opposed to the past, in your opinion?
Today, I think it's a lot more evil in the world today. I think it's a lot less camaraderie. I think it's a lot less people sticking together. I think we got to go back to that. So, you teach the essentials, you teach the basics, you teach, and that's love. That's light. That's having a good head on your shoulder, taking care of yourself. That's self love. You have that, and you know, you can uh, move that to loving other people and taking care of them. But it starts with you, man. It all goes back to who you are. And that line about like my son was basically like I know how I came up. I never would want him to come up how I came up. So and I look at his mother's life, who was like a total opposite for me. I want him to inherit more of that because I feel like her story is more beautiful than mine. My story is beautiful too because I come from a certain place and I got out of that, but I never would want him to see that. But I also it's it's weird because I have a certain toughness to me that I want him to have. But you can't have that without going through what I've been through. I feel like so naturally I would want him to inherit that. But you know, overall, if I had a choice, like your mother's life and her heart, I want him to have that and develop that. So yeah.
But you know what helps us overcome and understand ourselves is family. So we're going to end the let's build portion of this podcast and go into the album Sunday Dinner.
Yes, sir.
Now, in the history of our people, Sunday dinner has always been when our families came together and we took the week off to rejoice in each other's company.
Right.
What does naming this album Sunday Dinner mean to you personally?
Sunday dinner is just black, man. It's just my grandma. You know, I came from living with my parents. But you know that drug habit led to my grandma having to step up. And like two of her rules was like, yo, get up and go to three of her rules, I'm sorry, was church, school, and Sunday dinner. You know what I'm saying? But Sunday dinner was like I seen like a plethora of like different personalities come in and out of the house. Whether it was like my cousin who went to college with the good examples, my cousin who had a steady job, my cousin who had a car, his own place, but I also saw my drug dealing cousins. I also saw family members who were on drugs. I also saw the neighborhood, the things that were going on in the neighborhood, being outside and, you know, we having a good, sunny, beautiful day, and then out of nowhere you hear gunshots and everybody gotta figure it out. So it's that all these situations become a verse, a line, you know, a family member may become a hook or a verse or an experience in the album, and that's where the title came from. Everything that was around, you know, my grandma's apartment while we was having Sunday dinner.
I like the cover of the album as well
Thank you,
because
thank
the cover of the album reminds me that wasn't I never got my hair braided because as you see, you know what I'm saying? But
you.
I like the fact that it was home, but it
Mm,
was also the black man's conflict as well.
right.
Because you have to uphold a certain look to go outside to take care of business, and your lady takes care of that. But then you have another person that was fried fish.
Yeah, for
You know
sure.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
if you know about that southern cooking, shout out to all the people that are in the South. You know that fried fish means something when you get it. You know what I'm
for
saying?
sure.
Because that's like the inner man. Then you taking care of the outer man. You have the female power behind you, and you looking into the camera like, this is my strength. This is where I belong, but this is also what I got where I gotta go.
Right.
Did that reflect you personally? Did you pick the album art to mean that, or did it have another meaning?
Nah, I'm gonna just roll with what you.
All right, that's what it is.
I'm rolling with what you said. I like that better.
Nah.
So yeah, that's what I was going for.
see,
For
see the thing,
sure.
see the thing about hip hop that people sleep on. Our album covers set the tone. Since people
For
can't open up
sure.
the booklets anymore, that cover means so much. So when I saw a Sunday dinner, the first thing I'm thinking about is, all right, Sunday dinner is like soul food. It's like family.
Mm,
And then when I hear the album, the production is soulful, it's old school, it's vibrant, it's off
mm,
kilter because it's not like just doing this and catching something. It's some certain beats on there where you actually got to sit down. I mean,
for sure.
you said it's 3 6 Mafia was sampled in there from Papa My Collar. I heard
Hmm.
Outstanding sampled
Oh
in
wow.
there. You know what I'm saying? I've heard great samples used, but not in context of how people have used them before. It was to bring out the meanings in the music. How did
Right.
you go about picking your production to create this project?
Man, let's take Outstanding for example. That's like, you know, in the black family, that song is like a staple. That's the song we electric slide to. All different things. That's a song that's been bringing black families together for years. It's been the soundtrack of Sunday dinners, barbecues, family reunions, just family gatherings for years. But so I wanted to kind of take that, and when I first pulled it up, I remember Shaq used it. He used it in one of his songs, "Outstanding." And I was like, man, and I heard a few other, and I kind of saw like everybody was using it the same way. So Kareem Riggins sent it back to me, and it was like he like chopped it up, slowed it down. I was like, yo, this is incredible in a way that you couldn't, unless you're like an elite ear for music, have an elite ear for music, you wouldn't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? So which is dope. But when you catch it, it's like, oh shit, this is amazing. So I wanted to do that, but I didn't want to make the verses so happy. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to kind of tell a certain story that I was going through in the music business and about a friend that was living. His grandmother lived next door to my grandma, so they was doing the same thing. And it's like the doors were like from my car seat to this passenger seat. That's how close the doors were. He's like in the project. So, um, yeah, he was a guy that would like. He was older than me. He was like 12, 13 years older than me. He would come around, give me $20. He saw something in me. Like, man, you like a good kid, bro. Just don't be doing this stuff out here. I'll be seeing you outside doing this and that. But like, bro, I want you to like just focus. Like, and at the time I wasn't rapping, so I don't know what he saw. And like, maybe like a year or two after we had this conversation, he got shot and killed, which was like, and I wanted to kind of like put that experience in that record.
What I love about this project is when I compare it to your last project, I take every project like a baby. They have their own
Hmm.
life and they live.
Yeah.
Loveland was more of a concept album where you showed your range.
Hmm.
Sunday
Absolutely.
Dinner is the album where you showed your person and your and your and your
Hmm.
and your, and your history. And that's what made this album so dope to me because you talk about walking with Jehovah's armor because of God's prayer. You
Right.
talked
Right.
about dad's regret in the casket. You talked
Mm.
about your mom's story, your cousin had getting life, and by putting your life in the music, you scare the people who hate hip hop away because they have to endure to your story, and then you make love to the people who actually enjoy hip hop because you're giving them the truth that they're looking for.
Mm.
In doing that, I want to ask you this: how much freer do you feel giving people your life rather than just making music for them to listen to?
Man, you mean like after making this album or just period? After making this
Period.
album,
Just everything.
man, especially with this album, I feel like there's like really no more pressure. There's no pressure to like, because before it would be like, yo, he's amazing, he can rap, but what else? I remember sitting down with Nas and he would say this like, yo, like, like you dope, like, but what else? Like, it's a lot of people that can rap, but what else? Like, your story is your way to like get to where you're trying to get to. And I always carried that with me. And at that time, I was terrified to like let people in. Um, but yeah, time changed that, man. And I just, I think that was very important. But it's a lot of pressure that's off me now because now people are like, yo, this is, I know who you are now. I know this. Oh, you come from this. When I first came in, I remember like when I first moved to LA, I met with this executive and he was like, man, I thought you were like a silver spoon rapper. And I'm like, yo, what you mean by that? Like, yo, I thought you came from like a two parent household and all this shit. He was like, yo, you really like just, a project kid for real. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like to, not that I'm like, don't want to show that, but it's like, I know in certain cases, in my cases, it like scares people away. And I also don't like giving people like different parts of my personality. Everybody shouldn't get that. So, you know, yeah, for long story short, but definitely the pressure is off me with this album because I feel like I got the majority of my experiences out the way, and there's no more excuses for people to like really say why I'm not one of the best.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, some of these songs that you made on your album are gonna go into the soundtrack of my personal life.
Oh wow.
I have songs like we don't have the same life, so I'm not gonna even front like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But there's certain songs that were made that reflect me. Like one of my favorite songs of all time was made by an artist you may or may not know. His name was Bless McFly. and he had a song called All By Myself. And it reflected me because he said, when the world goes up, I'll go down. When they go left, I'll go right. It's talking about walking at your own drum, right?
Uh-huh.
Another song that means a hell of a lot to me in my life is Benny Siegel, Take a Look at Me Now. That
I
song
love that
talks,
one.
yeah, that talks to my soul. Worrying about a classic talks to me heavy too.
Mm.
And one of my favorite lines in that song is, I'm busy trying to get my people right, and you worrying about a classic.
Yeah.
It seemed like you're telling the people, like, you worrying about, am I going to drop a classic album where I got people that I take care of? I got responsibilities. I got a life. I got things going on where if this thing goes right, I can do what I need to do. But if it goes wrong, I got to do what I got to do. Am I correct?
Absolutely. It was literally like babies that I knew that were like kids that I knew that were dying in the street. Like, and not to put too much out there, but like my best friend was losing people left and right that he was raising that I would see all the time. And these kids would be like back to back, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, along with other family issues, along with, I can care less about like what's happening in the music business because I love music, but I don't love it more than these situations that are actually taking place. And while I'm dealing with these things, you got people running up to me like, yo, when the album coming? Yo, when this coming? Yo, when that? And it's like, yo, man, I'm in a place where I'm like, yo, fuck this album. Fuck what you talking about. I'm trying to handle all this shit. I got like real life shit going on. I got people that I'll never see again dying. You know what I'm saying? So like how dare, and they don't know, they don't mean no harm. They just like fans of the music, but in my head, I'm like, yo, I'm trying to get all this shit together, and you worried about this album. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's how that song stemmed from, and I thought it set the tone perfectly because it's the introduction to all of the problems that I'm having. So, that's why I wanted to lead with that record.
It's a classic record to me personally. Like I said,
Thank you.
that record is going to go on the soundtrack of my personal life because one thing about hip hop that the world takes for granted because they're too busy dancing and trying to catch vibes, hip hop is the written expression of black boy blues. Do you know what I mean by black boy blues?
No, explain it to me.
So as we know, the blues was the genre that gave the world our pain. I
Hmm.
lost my money, and I lost my car. My baby don't love me, like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So now, Black Boy Blues in today's world seems to be, I don't play ball, but I got to rap to make money. I can't find a
Uh-huh.
job. I can't find a job, so I sell drugs to make money. T.I. said it best. I'm just doing my job. You got a 9 to 5, mine just different from yours.
Right.
And even on the song Bravo, you said, look at our skin. They don't even make band-aids for our complexion.
Yeah.
So a black boy's blues seem to be finding his place in the world to exist rather than to disappear and the pain that we go through.
Uh-huh.
Even to quote 50 Cent, he told Oprah, when you didn't like my music, if I can't be your friend, at least let me be your enemy so I can coexist and people know I'm alive.
Uh,
So in knowing that we have black boy blues in our life, the song Know Your Worth and Grandma Said stands out because we go through so much trauma in this world. It means a lot to have somebody fight for you and you're still fighting to exist or coexist in a world that doesn't acknowledge you. How
right.
does your hip hop help you stay acknowledged to the world and help people feel acknowledged through your words?
I think I got a story that's so real that when I tell it, that people just gravitate toward it. You got to think like a lot of people don't even count the Funk album. I've been gone for 5 years if you don't count that album. But the story is so like raw and real that you know certain people will pop out. The young gurus of the world, the Kendrick Lamars of the world. Yo, you're one of my favorite. All these people would just say different things, and these are people that I like respect. These are like some of the biggest stars to ever exist. Um, so to like, you know, I think the story is so raw and real and relatable at this point that it keeps me embedded into what this thing is. Um, so yeah, I forgot what your question was, but yeah, just kind of just telling my story, man, and just being real. And I think at this point, I just want to have a voice. I just want to be, relatable as far as like my story go. I don't want to tell anybody else's, truth or lies. I just want to just live in mine and carry that. But yeah,
Let me ask you an opinion question. Why do you think, since so many of our rappers or artists and MCs have so much of a similar story, how come we don't get those collabs where even the people that you name acknowledge you, but it doesn't seem like y'all can get together and do something to the fans' opinion, to the fans' look? What does it look like on the other side?
I think like I think as far as like artists, like that's a great question too. I think as far as like artists, right? It's like we're human first. You know what I'm saying? I can relate to you. We don't have to get money together. I want to. It's not that I don't want to, but it's also a timing thing. We gotta just flows and it has to. Because if we're these two great people, if we do anything together, people are expecting more doubled greatness. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I think people just it's not that when you see like two great musicians know each other, it's more so just a timing thing. And sometimes can this artist stay afloat? I know he's great, but you know, I remember seeing somebody that I just like one of my favorite artists of all time, and he like, yo, I want to see you next year, and he saw me next year. He was like, all right, one more year, and it was like, all right, cool. But it's just that thing of like just staying afloat. Just like can does he deserve to be up here? You know what I'm saying? And you know that's something that I always respected. Like yeah, it's a lot of dope people, but can you stay in this position? That's harder than just picking up a pen and just rapping.
I feel you. I mean, like I said, as a fan, I look at it in a way where it hurts because the collaboration artists didn't start to the 2000s, and in the 80s and 90s there was a lot of missed opportunities. You see what I'm
Right, right, right,
saying?
right, right.
Like, I'm from Jersey, so us not getting a Tretch and Redman song at the height of their careers
Yeah, I
is
feel
very
that.
fucked up. You
I
see what I'm
feel
saying?
that. I feel that.
And with you, right, you came out at a time when everybody's goats were coming in with you, and
Hmm.
and I'm gonna be just tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like either the money was the aspect or the sellability of what people wanted to do was it? Because I always thought you were nice when it came to the rhymes. I always
Yeah.
thought that you had a different off kilter style because you could rap, but you rap making sense rather than rap making bars.
Mm,
And that's the one thing I loved about your style
thank you.
rather than just listening to you.
For sure.
You showed that in Since Elementary
Hmm.
because everybody's going to take the line pimping, been pimping since pimping, been pimping, right?
Yeah,
But the song really is about a need for connections and life lessons.
absolutely.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
For sure.
So I wanna make a comment. What's this one of my favorite comments? I want to give it to you and I want you to explain it through your talent. Okay.
So it's basically about like me being younger. You know what I'm saying? Just and it's just people. It's like it's more than just my story. It's friends too that you know I just took from different experiences. But it's basically me telling a story of being young and having a few dollars when
Oh,
it comes to having to pick of the litter when it comes to women. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And being able to do what you want and move how you want and you know and the second verse is basically karma catching up to you and now you meet you know somebody that's on the same frequency as you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying in a woman and you know she does you the same way you know she becomes your karma she does you the same way that how you've been doing women so that's basically what that was and it talks about that that's since elementary people like you said people were here pimping but it's really just a story of karma it's just a story of life getting back at you.
Check this out though. You also said experience, like about life and experience.
Hmm.
And experience is the best teacher, right?
Absolutely.
Explain this to me. Life is a classroom without walls. What does that mean to you?
Life is a classroom without walls. Um, I like that. That's a bar too. So basically, knowledge is forever. Knowledge is forever. Like knowledge is never ending. It don't end in these walls. It's outside of these walls. Knowledge is everywhere.
I respect that because the I'm a school teacher by trade, right?
Nice, dope. That's dope.
And that's how I give back to the culture. Basically, I
Yeah.
stand with these children. But here's the one thing. This is the reason why I brought it up. To be taught, to be instructed, and to be schooled are three different things.
Uh-huh.
Because when you're schooled, you're indoctrinated. When you're instructed, you're shown. When you're taught, you're able to survive with the lessons you were given.
Mm.
And hip hop has been the ultimate teacher to me because while I went to school and we learned about slavery, KRS-One gave us "You Must Learn." And we learned about Haile Selassie and all those people.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Today in hip hop, we don't have too many of those lessons, but we have the lessons of survival and making sure you are heard. I also got that in Dope Fiend's theme.
Hmm.
Tell me about why you changed your style and how that song fit into the project that you made.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about the things that I was going, especially in my second verse on that record. All y'all niggas was a lame in school. Now you got a job at a label, got a little fame, and you think that it made you cool. It was just stuff that I was going on, and I'm seeing like how different people are doing, you know, different like people of, their color, like they're just doing them dirty, and I'm like seeing it full time. And I became like an advocate of I don't care if it's being done to me. Like, yo, bro, that could be me. You know what I'm saying? This person looks just like you, and you're like doing bad business and fucking them over. And these are people that like, I see a lot of people become depressed because, they don't get to a certain point in music because of the backdoor shit and grimy stuff that's being done to them. So yeah, I was just leaning into that. But when it comes to, you know, somebody of another race, you don't stand on the same things. Like you don't move the same way. So, these were things that I would see. And I always would hear about it, but when I would see them in like real time, it was like disgusting. So I was like, yo, this is something that I have to talk about. Nobody's ever gonna talk about it. How can I be Tupac? How can I be, these artists? How could I be a Nas if I don't speak on certain things that I feel like are like disgusting in our culture? So I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry
Yo,
for that.
now
I'm gonna say one thing, and you could run with this if you want or not.
mm,
But I feel in our culture, the institution of self hatred has come back hard
right.
because it's not about nigga, 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 or n word, whatever. How YouTube does this, it's more about what do I stand quiet about so I can be accepted rather than speak to
For
free
sure.
people's minds.
For sure.
Nina Simone said the artist's responsibility is to sing about the things that's going on in the culture real time.
Absolutely.
We have more racial shootings going on. We have people going into stores killing black folks. We have people killing kids. There was a child that just OD'd on fentanyl, a 1-year-old at a daycare.
Wow.
We have all this stuff going on in the world, and all I hear about is who ass is fat, who popping, or or something that's not necessary. There's artists that's talking about the world that's being shut out, and there's artists talking about nothing that's being put in everybody's faces. How do you balance that as a moral artist that wants to be truthful to himself in a game that's not loyal or truthful to the people in it?
I'm rapping for my tribe. The people that's supposed to get it. I wanna help them. Not say I want to save them because they already understand it, but I kind of want to like reassure them that, I could be a leader in this thing. I could be somebody that speak on certain issues. I could be a person that live by certain issues. I feel like I got the heart to do it. I feel like I'm not afraid to do it. I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm not afraid of losing a record deal. You know what I'm saying? I'm not afraid of like anything not going my way in this business. I'm not afraid of that. I done seen the worst of it. You know what I'm saying? I had more, you know, discouragement than celebration. So for me, it's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about this. So what the fuck do I have to lose by speaking on this stuff that I want to speak on anyway? So yeah. And sometimes that gets you to where you want to be because that may be my purpose. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta live in that and stand on that. So
You the
yeah,
people's champ. You the
yeah,
people's
for,
champ.
for sure. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that at all.
But you know what stood out to me? There's a cut on your album from Richard Pryor when he was like niggas are the cream of the crop because they took the
Yeah.
best black folks out of Africa and brought them here, and look what we've become.
Right.
What does that mean to you, and why did you put that on the project?
Man, it just meant like some of the people that been through some of the worst shit are the best people. It made them better people, for the most part. But in a sense where they took the best people and brought them over here, and now they're the worst people. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of reversed. It's kind of reversed now. Like, nigga is like, I read somewhere that like nigga is like a word for negus, Negus. It's like they didn't know how to say it, so they turned it into something else. Like negus was like a king. Like, look at those niggas over there. But it was like a word for like something I was reading, but it was basically saying they took that word and flipped it and made it a negative thing. So
Etymology.
yeah, now for sure. So it's like, yeah, it's a whole bunch of things that come to mind for the reasons why I use that, but more so like, yeah, they took some of the best people, brought them here, and now they're the worst people, and then that's why you get these kinds of people that I'm talking about in the second verse, and then it gets to the end of the verse. It's like, yo, I really rather help you than to kill you. I really rather help myself because you know it's me too. I'm not just I might not have the same fault as another person. I might not be as bad as someone else, you know, quote unquote. But for the most part, like, yeah, I got my issues as well. But I'm just trying to like speak on them and make people see them. So that's where I'm at with it.
I think for sure that when our story finally gets told, people are going to see and hear the story of perseverance, faith, and endurance rather than pain.
Mm,
Pain bought it, but pain does not define us.
absolutely,
And one of the dreams of being an artist is for the world to hear and see you, yet understand and appreciate you.
for sure.
But you also said to get away with murder, kill a rapper.
Yeah, that's sarcasm. That's
True,
sarcasm. Yeah,
but it
that's
seems,
sarcasm.
but that seems to be an industry phenomenon.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
so talk. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you take that and what made you say that bar?
Just like they show you how much they care about us. It could be a common person of a different race getting killed down the street, and they're gonna figure that shit out in 24 hours. But some of the biggest black men that were killed, that were leading people and putting out positive shit in the world, they don't know who did it. It's a conspiracy. Everything is a conspiracy. But you know, let a white kid get killed somewhere, they're gonna figure that shit out in no time. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I wanted to use that line. That's why I wanted to speak on that and touch on that. We can know who did something and still allude to, oh, did they actually do it? Yeah, we don't know. So yeah, and it's like, yo, they don't want us having this much power. You know what I'm saying? Because once you figure out how to use that power, that's the first step, getting the power. Once we figure out how to use it, it's like it becomes a different thing. We become a threat. You know what I'm saying? So kill them off. Kill them off is easier.
I respect you for even putting that in your album because the one thing we take for granted when it comes to Sunday dinner
Mhm.
is the wisdom from our griots.
Absolutely.
We take for granted. They say, what they say, youth is wasted on the young.
Mm.
And in your youth, it's like, man, I got time. I could do this and do that. But it
Hmm.
ain't until you lose people and life gets real serious that you really start to understand losses are more impactful than some gains you get.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to talk about loss with this. I want to talk about what hip hop would have lost if you never made this project, in your opinion.
What hip hop would have lost? Man, what hip hop would have lost if I never made this potential? I think it's more so what I would have lost. I would have lost not having my voice. I think hip hop would have lost the voice. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that like speaks from another perspective. Speaks from a perspective of just having balance in this shit. Like you said, it's a lot of people that just talk about who ass the fattest. I love a fat ass, but it's more it's more to life. it's more to life than just, the frivolous shit, man. It's more to life than recreation. You know, how we can get better is basically loving each other and just, standing up for each other and not backdooring each other and stabbing each other in the back all the time. So yeah, I think if I didn't make this album, I would have hip hop would have lost a voice, a valuable voice. Hip hop would have lost like promise and potential. Just because of fear of speaking on certain things. Um, and I think to even go deeper in that is like if you don't appreciate this project, you still could lose that. It's still a chance you could lose that if the work is not appreciated. Like, don't wait till I don't want this to be one of them things. If something was to happen to me and oh, I'm the greatest ever, he's the best. You know what I'm saying? Because I said that on the album too. Like, they know that I'm a threat, but they won't pay me a thing. It's funny because if I die, the same niggas gonna label me king. Like that's a thing. That's the thing for me. I always think about that. Like if something was to happen to me, everybody would think oh, he's the greatest. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, yeah. I think hip hop would have lost a lot.
Well, I think this album should take you to the highest potential that hip hop can give an artist because we hip hop is crack. It's like as soon as a new song come out, you want to get the new hype, and people are not sitting in the euphoria of the music itself.
Absolutely.
And that's why I say this album, to me, this is my opinion, has the potential to be in that classic talk when it comes to hip hop albums. People may have appreciated or may have gotten to later, but when they got to it, it fed their soul, not just their
Right.
ears. You see what I'm
For
saying?
sure.
So,
Absolutely.
so right now, I want to take the time to give it for you. Please give a shout out to my man Old Head for putting us on this album, Heritage Hip Hop, so we could give him his flowers now, so we can give him his respect.
Yeah, shout out my man Old Head, man. I appreciate you like sharing the music, putting people ears to it. I appreciate that, man. Just not for not letting the music just go in vain. You know what I'm saying? That means a lot to me. And like I said, like if you don't have people appreciating it, it could still mean a lot, but it doesn't mean as much if it doesn't have the reach to like touch more people. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you, Old Head, for that.
So to my group, Old Head, Sincere, Mr. Bata, B. Lou, Ace, some people in there I'm gonna miss, Queen, some ladies in there. I apologize because we on time. But thank you for my Twitter group on Saturdays. You can follow Heritage Hip Hop on all social media. You see when I'm in the group. And you can come and join us. We'd like to invite you to the group one Saturday if you got time, and we could talk about the album with us.
Yes, sir.
So I want to. I know we on time. I want to get out of here and not hold you up. But before we go, why don't you give your 30-second spiel on why everybody should buy the album and what they're going to get that you think maybe had not talked about at all?
Man, I think this album is the story for the 80s babies, 90s babies that played outside, that rode bikes, that played football, played sports outside every day. I think this is a story of kids that, were forgotten about, who parents forgot about them, and what I'm saying, they left them to fend for themselves and figured it out, and they bounced back. I think this is the underdog story. I think this is a story of, also doubling back and realizing those parents that left you stranded are human too, and they had their own problems. You know what I'm saying? So it's also a story of forgiveness, but more so it's just the underdog story, man, and coming back on top, everybody counting you out, you know, what it means to stand on your own too. No matter what's against you, no matter who's against you, no matter who likes it or feels like, you know, you're so good that you're a threat or whatever the case is. It's just the underdog story of just bouncing back and still showing the world. Like, you know, Danielson would always get his ass kicked until he, figured it out. He bounced back. You know what I'm saying? So bounced back and won it all. So yeah, it's the underdog story. So if you love those and you love, just raw, authentic hip hop, if you love stories, if you love, yeah, storytelling, if you love like just the real shit, yeah, you should get this album is for you.
Word. So with that being said, before we get out of here, I'd like to say thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you subscribe to Heritage Hip Hop. This podcast is available on YouTube and wherever you stream your podcast. So it'll be on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, iHeartRadio, wherever. So make sure you tap into Heritage Hip Hop, but also make sure you tap into Nick Grant because the album Sunday Dinner is the album that I'm telling you This is heritage hip hop certified. I don't say that often. This is one of those albums that you're going to remember. People talk about Killer Mike. People talk about Sky Zoo. I do at least. You need to talk about this album as well. It's one of the top albums of the year. Nas is up there. Look, this is up there with those albums because this is one of those albums that when you listen to it, not only you're going to bop because the beats are not just boom bap, whatever. The beats are different and they bring soul. They bring emotions out with impactful lyricism. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, man. Appreciate you too, man. Thank you.
Oh, no doubt. Living like a Fresh Prince the way I feel Banks or something like that. I remember I was listening to everything. And that, like I said, if you watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you gonna smile a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one thing about heritage hip hop, as you can see, I and my platform, we get into the music and appreciate it. So we listen to the lyrics, we listen to the beats, we look at the album covers. We really take the time to get into this. And if it wasn't a quality project, you wouldn't get a quality interview. So let me know. How did you like the interview? Was it good or what? What we do?
The interview was fire. If you don't like the interview, you hate.
That's it right there. We valid over here. So I want to say, let's play a game real quick if you don't mind. Would you like to do the rapid fire questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, rapid fire questions are not yes, no questions. These are questions that show the depth of you, your knowledge of hip hop, and who you are when it comes to the culture. So the first question I want to ask you is, what song or album from another artist, not yourself, perfectly defines you?
Jay-Z, Mama Loves Me.
Oh, okay. That's beautiful. Rapid fire question number 2. What is the perfect hip hop beat? Meaning if this person never had this beat, it would have been your first single if you had the choice.
Mobb Deep, Quiet Storm.
All right, y'all. So my Twitter group, y'all already know about that murder music. All right, here we go. Question number 3. We live in the age of collabs. If there was any artist dead or alive from any genre you could collab with, who would you want to work with and who does the beat?
Just one artist?
Nope, whatever you want.
Give me Luther Vandross and give me Biggie.
Who's doing the beat?
Pharrell.
Okay, look. Okay, that's deep. That's interesting. Here's a off-kilter question. Rapid fire question. The South has something to say. What has the South said that hip hop still doesn't understand?
What has the South said that hip hop still doesn't understand? That we have some of the most lyrical people in the world.
And you from the Carolinas originally and then to Georgia?
Yeah, I was born in South Carolina, but I was raised between both.
Okay. So my understanding of the Carolinas, because everybody talks about North Carolina now, because that's the place to go.
Right.
My understanding of the Carolinas did not start with J. Cole. It actually started with Kevin Kazi, Ninth Wonder, Lil Brother, Justice League, around that, Josie Mo and that. So when Carolina was popping from that era, it was like soulful beats, meaningful rhymes, and introspection. How did you elevate that?
How did I elevate that? I think I got a flow that's like, I won't even say that because I think that flow is universal. I think I tell the story of just South Carolina, you know what I'm saying? Just our stories and, being a champion for that, because before me, I think all we had was Charlemagne. We got a few other people out there doing their thing, but in like South Carolina, like we didn't really have no artists.
All right, that's interesting. So this question set up my next question perfectly. Clemson, South Carolina Gamecocks, whatever. Which one are you?
Oh, Gamecocks.
So check this out. Whenever you're amongst the most recognized and the leader of a pack, you get shot at the most because you have the most burden and responsibilities. What's the heaviest burden you've carried being an entertainer? And how did it make your hip hop journey better than somebody who just raps for a living?
I think you said what made my journey better?
Yup, through the burdens of being one of the best of where you're from.
The burdens. I just think when you're so good, you're like a threat to people. I think when you're like really good, it's like you're a threat, not even to just where I'm from, but just in the music business, period. Like I remember coming in, that was like a burden for me. Like, damn, like, do I dumb it down? Do I, you know what I'm saying? Like, do I change how I sound? Or because it's like, yo, I remember somebody told me, like, you came in too good. Like nobody wanna stand next to that. They want to stand next to something that's not as good, but not whack either. Like find a middle ground. Like you coming in too serious. Like you're too good. Nobody want to stand next to you. They can't out rap you. They don't want to sign you. They don't want to do records. They don't want to collab. So that became a burden for me. Where it's like, and then fans would be like, "Yo, this person and this person need to do a song," but they don't really understand the politics of opening up your fan base to somebody that'll smoke you.
Yeah, we call that fear.
Yeah, nah, for sure, 100%, hundred
We call
percent,
that fear.
100%.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I have one final question for you. Once again,
Yes,
before
sir.
we leave, everybody, make sure you go get Nick Grant's Sunday dinner. Heritage Hip Hop does not believe in streaming. So stream the album, and if you like it, buy the album. Put some money in his pocket. I bought my copy.
Hey, that's right.
Buy yours. I have mine directly on my hard drive. It's not streaming on my phone. Okay, it's in my hard drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I thank you for making that project. Thank you for keeping. I'm not gonna say an old perspective of hip hop alive. I'm gonna say thank you for keeping a true perspective of hip hop alive by giving the world a story, your story, a remarkable story that we can relate to rather than just rapping over beats to make a hit. Thank you.
right now. Thank you, man. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you for listening and really taking the lyrics in, man. I appreciate that. Like that stuff is that stuff doesn't go unrecognized, man. For real.
I appreciate that. So whenever you drop your next project, you can always come back.
Oh, I'm back.
Hey,
I'm back. I'm
hey,
back.
hey, you know
I'm
what I'm
coming back.
saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So here's the last question. 500 years from now, when Sunday Dinner is revered as one of the classic albums, and somebody goes to the Universal Hip Hop Museum and they see Nick Grant on the wall and they push that red button and a hologram comes out and plays your album and tells them your story, you're
Mhm.
going to inspire the new generations of music makers, whether it's hip hop or another genre, 500 years from now. So, the most important question of your first interview on Heritage Hip Hop is this: what is the legacy you leave behind that made the world better because you made hip hop?
Um, my lift as you climb mentality. Once if I get up, I don't get too high up to shit on anybody, especially my day ones, especially my day twos. I don't get too high up to shit on anybody or feel like I'm better than anybody. You know what I'm saying? If somebody has something worth, you know, investing your time in, you help them up. Because one day you could slip and you might need them to help you up. So that's the legacy I want to leave, like the lift as you climb mentality. Just being known for helping people up. Because you're not here for a long time, man. So you don't even know when you going. So you gotta lead every day, with hard work and you know self-love and all those beautiful things, man. So yeah, that's my legacy, and have the picture of me in front of my project building with no windows.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's deep. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank Nick Grant one more time for coming on the Heritage Hip Hop Podcast. As you see, not only do we introduce you to your future favorite artists today, we also celebrate those who laid the foundation of great hip hop that new artists will stand on their shoulders and elevate our culture to the best. Remember, Heritage Hip Hop. Hip hop is our culture and we're God's people. So, God's heritage is hip hop, and we only give you the best by celebrating the best that there is. So, I thank you once again for coming on the show. Any last words? Want to go out?
Man,
Want to
thank
bang?
you. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you, man. This was amazing. I appreciate you.
And I appreciate you. So for everybody out there that's watching, thank you for watching. Hit the like button, share this video. If you want to donate to Heritage Hip Hop, $ Heritage Hip Hop is in the Cash App. I use the money to build this platform. I don't put it in my pocket and go buy stuff. I put it into the computers. I put it into the microphone. Hopefully I'll be putting it into a space. But until that day, thank you for all your participation. Thank you for anything that you give, especially your time, and hit that like button and share. So with that being said, this is Karev, Heritage Hip Hop with Nick Grant saying peace, and we out.
Man, thank you so much, brother.